Hi everyone, today I will be exploring the topic of profit modeling and break-even analysis, and also I will show that how we can apply this concept by using the Excel functions. These tools are widely used in business decision making, especially when it comes to cost planning. But now I want to define these two concepts. First is the profit modeling. It is a financial planning method that is used to estimate how much profit a business can make based on the different costs and the revenue factors. It involves analyzing how fixed costs, variable costs, selling price, and even the sales volume, how they affect the overall profitability. So this model is useful for testing what-if scenarios, setting the target profits, and making a better strategy decision. On the other hand, it's like the break-even analysis. It is a method used to determine the point at which total profit equal to total cost, resulting in the zero profit and zero loss. It helps business calculate how many units must be sold to cover both fixed and variable costs. And it is commonly used for the pricing decisions and the cost control. So, how can we calculate the break-even point? It has its own formula, which is the fixed cost is divided by the contribution margin. So we can know that what is the contribution margin, which is the selling price per unit minus the variable cost per unit. This formula shows that how sensitive the break-even point is to change in the cost and price, so making it available tools for testing business assumption. So to understand how all these elements connect, we can use an influence diagram. Here in the diagram, you can see that the total manufacturing cost is made up by 2 points. One is the fixed cost and another is the variable cost. So the fixed cost is staying the same regardless of how much we produce, while the variable cost depends on the quantity and the cost per unit. So this visual structure helps us to understand the cost structure behind the manufacturer decisions. But in reality, it's often not just about manufacturing. Sometimes we will ask like, should we make product ourselves or should we need to buy the outsourcers? So to help make that decisions, we can look at another influence diagram. So the left hand side is the manufacturing cost structure and the right hand side is the outsourcing cost structure. So this both depends on the same key factors, which is the quantity required. It can affect which option is more cost effective. So I can show an example to help us easily to understand how can we make a decision with the variation of quantity. In this example shows that a company is considering whether to manufacture a part in-house or buy it from an outside supplier. So they have two options. One is the bank option, another is the buyer option, and this is their own cost structure. So now I will use the Excel function to solve the problem that how many units must be produced to make the in-house production more cost effective. Here is the cost structure of this example. So over here, this is the cost of manufacture and this is the cost of the buying price. First, if we assume that the company need to produce like 500 units, what will it happen? Yes, we can save like the 875,000 cost. It means that if we choose to buy the outsource from the supplier, it can help us to save $800,000 of the cost. But now we want to find the break-even point because it can help the business to avoid the overspending and ensures that they choose the most cost-efficient strategy based on the expected demand. So now what we can do is we can use the what if analysis function, which in GoSeek, and then we want to set the cell as the saving due to the outsourcing because we want to make it to become 0, and then by changing the cell as the number of units, click OK and then OK. So this is mean that the result means that if the company produce more than 4,000 units, it's cheaper to manufacture. Otherwise, buying is the better option. So this is the easier function to help us to find the break-even point. But also, I can introduce another similar function which let us see how our outsourcing saving change with the variation of the number of units. So the first thing is we can click over here and then click enter to the amount of the saving due to the outsourcing. Click enter and then we want to choose these two columns and choose the what if analysis. Click the data table functions. We need to input the column input cell as the number of units and then click OK. Yes, so it's very direct way shows that if the company produce more than 4,000, it's better to choose the manufacturer. Otherwise, if less than 4,000, it's better to buy the outsource so that we can save a lot of cost. So this function is allow us to see exactly where the two lines cross, and then we can confirm that at 4,000 units, both options costs are the same. Now, we can look at the real world problem and use the same Excel function to solve it. First, we look at the questions, look at the information, which is like the cinema in Elegance want to increase the ticket sales in August and its lowest month is only 30% full, about just 150 customers per day. So in order to achieve a higher ticket sales, the owner plans to offer a 20% discount on tickets and also run a newspaper advertisement which is costing $1,000. So this is the financial statement of the cinema, and the question is how many additional customers are needed to break even on the discount and advertisement cost. So same as previous, I will use the Excel function to solve it. Okay, so now I will use the Excel function again to solve the problem. So the first thing is, again, you what if analysis, go seek, and then set the cell as a profit because we want to make it become 0. And then by changing the cell as the number of customers, click OK. Okay. Then the result shows that this cinema needs additional 176 customers to break even on the discount and advertisement cost. And now we can use again the data table function. You can see that the change of profit with the variation of number of the customer. So again, we click the equal to amount of profit, click enter, and then we choose these two columns and then use this one data table function. Again, column input self is number of customer. Click OK. So we can see that if we have more than 200 customers, then the cinema can start to earn the money. So these two functions is an efficient way to know that how many customers we need to reach the break-even point and start to earn money. Now I will introduce one more Excel function, which is called the scenario manager. These two allow us to compare multiple versions of the same model. So now we assume that we have 3 scenarios. The first scenario is same as the cinema example, and this scenario 2, the variable cost and selling price will increase by 20%, and scenario 3, the variable cost increase by 50%, as well as the selling price in scenario 3 will increase 20%. So now I will use this function to analyze how change in cost and pricing affect the outcome. So now what we can do is we choose the scenario manager function, we click add, and then we name the scenario name as S1, and then we changing the cell as from variable cost to selling price. Why we didn't choose the fixed cost? Because in these 3 scenarios the fixed cost remain the same, so it doesn't matter. Click OK, and then we check the amount, whether the amount is true. Click OK, and then add again, and then name the scenario with S2, and then check the changing cell, check whether the row is correct, and then click OK, and then we change the amount to 2.4 to 9.6, and last is 450, and then click OK. And again we do the same thing, add S3, checks the rows correct, click OK, change the amount. And again click OK. Now we choose the summary. We need the report type as scenario summary, and the result you need to choose the profit, and then click OK. Now here is the result. We can see all of the comparison. From the comparison we can see that the scenario 2 is the most efficient as it results in the lowest break-even point. So this demonstrates that how Excel Scenario Manager allows us to evaluate the pricing and the cost strategy side by side. So helping decision makers is to identify the most valuable option. In summary, tools like profit modeling, break-even analysis, and Excel's built-in features such as the GoSeek, Scenario Manager, and Data Table is allow us to turn data insights. They help the business plan better and make smarter decisions, and also to adapt confidently to change.